Jeff Sharlet is a professor of writing and the author of the influential book called The Undertow: Scenes from a Slow Civil War. He's in Hanover, New Hampshire. Professor Sharlet spent months in Trump rallies and talking to Trump supporters, trying to get a sense and conveying a sense to readers of what his support looks like and its makeup. And we've spoken to him about that. So the perfect person to whom I want to speak this morning. Professor, welcome back to our program.
Hi, good morning, Heather.
Listen, it's good of you to give us some time. I know you've been up most of the night watching the results. Let me get your overall reaction to what has happened.
I think this is obviously a decisive victory. I think a lot of non-Trump supporters in the United States now are struggling and looking. Maybe it was rain in Wisconsin, or maybe it was this or that. And I think we have to contend with the fact that we're not exactly a polarized nation now. We are a nation that is 8 years into what we might think of as the age of Trump, the Trumpocene, and we're now about to go a lot deeper. And I think we're all reckoning with that.
So I want to look to you with the future, and to the future, based on what you know and what you saw and what now may be ahead. He spoke in his victory speech, Professor, a lot about the movement that's led him to reclaim the presidency. The movement is not just submersive in the shadows now. He won the popular vote. What is the state of the movement now in 2024?
It is. I mean, this is sort of what I've been describing as the undertow. That the forces that bring us Trump had been with us for a while, building strength. Maybe some of us weren't paying attention to what begins as a dissatisfaction, a response to economic issues, maybe misogyny, curdles, and becomes what is a fascist movement. So if you just go on Twitter this morning and you're seeing big right-wing accounts very excited about the deportations. Let's get started. People saying, where do I sign up? I want to be part of the force. An enthusiasm for vigilantism, for violence. Trump didn't win by tacking to the center. He made it very, very clearer than it had ever been, who he was. And that's what a lot of people voted for.
So you just used the word fascist, as we did in our previous conversation. His own longest-serving chief of staff said, in his estimation, Donald Trump met his definition and the threshold to be called a fascist. And the United States people have just elected someone that many in the world think meets that definition to the White House. What does that say?
It says that I think it's worth recognizing that what's happening in the United States, and for Canadian viewers, this is a global fascist movement. We see this turn toward various forms of right-wing authoritarianism, not just in the United States, but in the various other countries. The Trump of Brazil, the Trump of these various countries, and you have your own right-wing movement. I think we have to understand the right word turn that Trump is a part of, the wave that he is riding, as a response to a lot of fear and a retreat into the strongman politics more familiar to us from the 20th century.
So at this point, once he's sworn in on January the 20th, what do you think his next administration will look like, and what concerns you most about it and the future direction?
I think we're in trouble. I think everybody's in trouble. I think there's just if you read the 900-page document, Project 2025, which he sort of used like a yo-yo. It's not mine, except all my people are from that. The other documents, if you look at the departure of folks like that Chief of Staff, General John Kelly, who called him fascist, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Milley, who called him a fascist. These are his own people. These are military people who are giving the definition. They're not going to be there this time. Men like Stephen Miller, the architect of his deportation policy, who said that we're no longer doing American first, we're doing Americans only. Men like Steve Bannon, who have trafficked in open World War II revisionism, appeal to actual fascist ideals. That's who's setting policy. And I think especially we saw last night, Elon Musk. Poor J.D. Vance pushed to the side while Trump spoke for a long time about what he said, a star is born, Elon, and the crowd chanted for him, who I think we should now be looking as, in many ways, the second most powerful man in the world.
So as I I listened to you. I'm just trying to sum up your tone. Sadness, shock, fear. What is it? You're an academic, but what's the emotion?
Sadness. I'm a parent. I'm a resident of Earth. We're going to see the climate change that he has promised, what he has promised with great specificity to roll back. Whatever window we had, that's gone. So now we're thinking about how do we live in a world of climate change. It's going to be much, much fiercer. I don't think shock. And I don't want to, I can't say I told you so because there was a whole lot of us who were speaking about this. There has been scholars and journalists and organizers and activists who have been saying, look, this is a fascist movement. It's not a fascist regime. It's not a fascist government. It's not Germany in 1936. It's the United States in 2024. But we need to contend with it as that. And vibes and calling him weird, that wasn't enough.
But even bringing that issue to the fore, the threat to democracy, that seemed to be totally, not nearly as important to the American voter as 401k, jobs, their own gas and groceries. What are they paying for that?
401k, jobs, the price of gas, that is democracy. That's where we need to speak and not just say democracy as an abstraction. What Trump did very effectively was give people metaphors to understand their lives. You're afraid that you can't find housing. Maybe you're afraid because of big storms, and you're afraid because there's flooding. So what does he say? He says it's immigrants. Immigrants are the reason you can't find housing. And you don't understand all these complex systems because you've got another job. You've got a regular job. You're not an economist. So that story makes sense. To his metaphors, we need to now respond with concrete, real ideas about jobs, about the price of gas, about how we address climate change. That is democracy. These are not alternatives. That's the work of democracy. What our second worst president in American history, James Buchanan, 1856 to 1860, the man who led into the Civil War. But he had one great line when listening to those who were saying he should quell the abolitionists. He should stop them from talking. He said, I like the noise of democracy. Democracy needs to be noisy. It needs to be filled with ideas. And I hope we will be noisy and loud now.
And I hope I can share your ideas with our viewers in future conversations. Professor, thank you very much. Such
thank you, Heather.
An important perspective to hear this morning. I appreciate it. Jeff Sharlet, the author of The Undertow, Scenes from a Slow Civil War.